Well, the verdict is out, and Disney's new Snow White adaptation has been an absolute disaster for the company. The movie's done horrible at the box office, it's been devastating for the critics, and on top of all that, we have this huge controversial cloud looming over Disney because of one Gen Z actress, Rachel Zegler, who has made a host and a fury of controversial comments.
That at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
If I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
Now, you can make the argument that this movie was already dead on arrival. It was already going to do bad. But Rachel's comments poured gasoline on an already huge flame, and it just erupted into this huge firestorm that we're seeing today. Now, this firestorm, in my opinion, is going to take a lot of people by surprise. It's going to burn down a lot of people's careers, and it's going to hurt a lot of people's futures. That's something I want to dive into this video. I don't think I've seen too many videos really dive into the economic impact that Rachel Zegler's comments have really had and are going to have until this video. I want to take a look at this through an economic lens, just how much of an impact she's had and just how she's used her platform for obviously a very devastating thing here. And the ironic thing is that she's wanting to use her platform for good, right? She's going to want to advocate for social issues and issues that she's really fond of. But she doesn't seem to realize that her comments that she's spewing out into the world in social media and in interviews are going to hurt a lot of people out there. I'm talking about 100 to 400 to 500 job cuts that are possible just with the animation team at Disney. On top of that, this is only going to hurt the movie industry. Well, sit back, relax, grab some popcorn. This is going to be an interesting one. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out and it helps grow the channel. And now back to this topic here. It seems like Rachel Zegler unintentionally has impacted the livelihoods and the careers of hundreds, if not thousands of people at Disney and other movie industries.
The cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There is a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
Comments like that bashing the film really don't do anyone any good. There's thousands of people that are involved in the making of this film, and their livelihoods basically depend on the success of this movie. And Rachel Zegler, with her platform and her privilege, if you will, she's already an actress, she probably already has enough money to basically have her set for life. She's making those comments, she's unintentionally hurting the careers of so many people out there. Because if the film flops, which is currently is flopping right now, it's likely gonna cause a lot of people to lose their jobs. After all, this is a business, and Disney is in the movie business. If their films flop, it's going to mean that they're not going to make more films going forward. It's going to mean that a lot of talented people are going to lose their jobs. And to me, that's something that a lot of people really aren't talking about with her comments. And honestly, I think it's really immature of her and it's short-sighted. This movie already had a lot of negative views going forward, so she put more gasoline on that fire. Think about it in this context. For example, after the election, Rachel Zegler went on social media and basically bashed everyone that voted for Trump and Trump himself. Now, it's okay to have opinions. Everyone has opinions. But I think the very immature and short-sighted thing here is that Rachel Zegler, and this happens to a lot of Gen Z people nowadays, is that she doesn't understand the consequences that her voice and her actions has on a broader audience. The audience in this case being the people that work at Disney and the people that are employed from the success of the movies. So if Snow White bombs, a lot of people's livelihoods will be at risk. And it seems like at the time when this happened last November, she didn't realize that. This is only going to spark a lot more people to boycott the movie. And that's exactly what happened if we take a look at the stats and if we take a look at the box office here in the United States. She basically said, "May Trump supporters and Trump himself never know peace." She also said, "F Donald Trump." Now, I get the frustration here. This was a shock to so many people, especially Gen Z. This was a mega shock. But she's not just everyone else. She has a position of power. So many people's livelihoods rely on her success and ultimately the success of the movie. I just think this is crazy. I just think this is absolutely crazy to basically alienate half of the country. I mean, at that time, more than half of the country. You're alienating all of them, saying that they should not know peace. Well, here's the thing. You're in the movie business. If you want to be more vocal about that, maybe switch careers, or I guess don't be famous and don't have a bunch of people rely on your success for their livelihoods. To me, that's something that's so short-sighted here. I cannot fathom just how she thought in her mind, hey, let me text all this, knowing that I have this huge movie coming out, and a lot of people's livelihoods rely on the success of this movie. Oh, let me just text this out. Let me post this on social media. And truth behold, she alienated a bunch of people because of that. On top of that, she also dabbled into one of the most controversial topics you can possibly even touch or even discuss, that being the Israel-Palestine conflict. She said, "Free Palestine," which, you know, a lot of people have opinions on that. It's okay to have opinion, like we've been saying. But when you alienate more and more and more people, it's going to make the movie flop. It's going to hurt the success of the movie. And ultimately, it's going to hurt the livelihood of so many people that are in the movie industry. I just don't understand how people don't realize this. This is the movie business, especially Disney, that are making these huge mega budget movies. They need these movies to be successful. So why cast someone like so controversial like Rachel Zegler? It's a huge risk, and I feel really bad for everyone that's involved in that movie. I feel bad for the animators, the set designers, everyone that works so hard on that movie, only for all of it to be clouded by someone's political activism and someone's huge opinion on social media. What a shame. What a shame. I mean, whether you agree or disagree with her opinions, it doesn't change the fact that this film, the success runs off it being pushed to a broad audience. If that broad audience boycotts the movie and half of the people don't want to see it, they don't show up to the movie theaters, then what do you know? The movie's going to flop. And unfortunately, a lot of people are going to get laid off. You know, that's something that we did see in the past when these sort of animated films flop. A lot of animators get laid off. Think about in 2019 with the movie Cats. Remember that abomination, that Cats musical movie? It was horrible, right? It was absolutely atrocious. The movie did so bad that they basically shut down the entire studio right after, among many other reasons, right? But the point is, if a movie does very bad, it has detrimental impacts on everyone that's involved in the making of that movie. And these people work so hard to get to that point. Think about a scenario like this. You have someone that is around 40 years old. They've been in the movie industry for about 15. This is finally their big break, and they got employed to be one of the animators in Snow White, right? They've been an animator for 15 years. This is finally their big break. They finally have a good salary. They're married, and maybe they have 1 or 2 kids, right? Maybe they have a house mortgage that they have to pay off. And then you have someone like Rachel Zegler, a Gen Z stereotype, if you will, goes on social media a few months before the film is released. She says a flurry of controversial things. She says everything under the sun to basically piss everyone off and make everyone not want to watch the movie, at least half of the country. And then, truth behold, we fast forward to March or April, a month after the film has been released. The box office shows that the film was a huge disappointment and it loses a lot of money. Well, what's going to happen to that 40-year-old animator that relied on this film's success? Well, unfortunately, they're probably going to get laid off, and they're not going to get any more work after this film because Disney's going to have to recover some of the losses from this film. Now, a lot of it is on Disney's fault. It's not all on Rachel Zegler, but I think a good part of it could be on Rachel Zegler. All that gasoline does not help, and it's definitely going to affect at least a few hundred people, if you will. My point here is that when you have Gen Z that is so politically active to the point where they hurt whatever project they're a part of, I think we have a huge problem here. And Rachel Zegler definitely did that. Everything that was controversial at the time or in today's crazy political climate, Rachel Zegler said it and she made a lot of people mad. I think it's really immature and it's short-sighted. And to back this claim up, right, the NRF, the National Retail Foundation, they did a huge survey in the country, and they found out around 65% of all audience members in the country don't want to be lectured about some political message or some, higher purpose. They just want to be entertained. And, a lot of Gen Z has basically dismissed any arguments on either side of the spectrum. They've been so hell-bent on what they believe, right? And, this is a huge problem I think we have with Gen Z right now, is they're so hell-bent on what they believe, on their vision of the world, that they don't want to hear any other arguments, and it basically hinders and it basically disrupts their career or their, goals in life. 73% of Gen Z prioritizes brand values, meaning that they won't buy a product if that product and whoever makes that product don't align with their views. 60% of Gen Z uses social media to call out issues, and that those issues being things that they believe or their inner circle believes. Now, there's nothing wrong with this, right? You can use social media to basically talk about whatever you want, but when you have someone famous like Rachel Zegler and the movie industry, it has a lot of impact on people's lives. That's a huge problem. I think actors and actresses are in kind of a precarious position in the movie industry, right? They're just one tiny cog in the machine, and that cog to the machine is very important. An actor and actress can make someone want to watch a film or someone want to skip a film. That's how much impact they have on it. And it takes hundreds, if not thousands of people to finally make that finished product and make that film. That's something that's way different than, a Taylor Swift going out and being politically active. Taylor Swift is in a totally different circumstance here, and everyone else that's in the music industry. I honestly don't think there's any problem for someone like Taylor Swift to be politically active. You know why? Because her impact and her voice isn't going to lay off a bunch of people. She's basically her own entrepreneur. She's her own businesswoman, and she owns that business, her brand. If she says something politically active, it's not going to really hurt anyone within her organization because she owns the organization, essentially. That's something that I think someone like Rachel Zegler doesn't understand. You're being employed to do a job, and your job is to basically be an actress for this film and help promote it in a positive way. That's it. And if we take another example of a Gen Zer who I honestly think has a good viewpoint on all this mess, I think that would be Chappell Roan. If you take a look at Chappell Roan, she's exploded over the past year. She's Gen Z. I think she's around like 27, 28 years old, so kind of the older cohort of Gen Z. But she's pretty active, right? She is very vocal, but at the end of the day, she kind of knows that, hey, I'm just a pop star. I'm not an expert in these type of things. You can either listen to me or not listen to me. Recently, she was like, hey, can you guys stop asking for my political opinions or stop asking me for what I think about this or that? Even though mostly you can probably guess what she believes in. She's vocal about that. But on the other hand, she kind of knows that, hey, I'm not an expert in this. There are people way more intelligent than me at this. And she's okay with that. And like we said, people in the music industry, they're their own boss. They make that content. They have so much more power than an actress or an actor in a movie in which so many other people made that finished product. At the end of the day, you can really make the argument that Rachel Zegler is hurting Gen Z as well. She's creating this huge stereotype about Gen Z being self-absorbed, being immature, being out of touch, you name it. It's creating this huge stereotype, and that's going to affect real people. Don't get me wrong. It's going to affect businesses wanting to hire Gen Z. Yeah, it's going to have huge impacts. It's not just all about herself. Honestly, I see where she was coming from in some of her comments. I get it, right? But at the same time, don't say something controversial and have a bunch, thousands of people be affected by it, by just you wanting to talk and open your mouth. Don't do that. Ultimately, I think Gen Z needs to be careful what they say, right? They need to be careful what they vocalize. This is a crazy political climate right now. We're so divided in everything. And it seems like Gen Z is being even more outspoken in some instances. It's kind of like one of those things, in my opinion, you got to pick your battles. And unfortunately, Gen Z is not picking their battles too effectively. Well guys, I hope you liked this video. This was kind of a controversial topic, so let me know your hot takes in the comments section below. At the end of the day, we're just here to have a huge discussion. So let me know what you guys think. Be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out, and it helps grow the channel and shine a spotlight on issues and topics like this. And like always, we'll be back with another video. Stay informed out there.